Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Double Gameweek 34 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zophar, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Lateriser and Pras, after a long time. How are you doing, boys?
Very well. Good to see LR on screen for a change after having met him 10 days ago. Yeah, doing very well. Back to London, came 3 days ago. So back in the thick of it, back to work.
Is that a tan, Pras, or is that the lighting?
I think is it lighting? I'm trying to figure out why am I looking so red? I mean, I wasn't so out that I should have a huge tan. So I don't know what it is.
I don't
Maybe it's
know.
the lighting.
We should probably get a few
There are
extra. Exactly, we'll get some
fans
extra
coming to
Discord
watch
members
you
now.
only to see you. So make sure you're bright and nice here because people
I
come on to just look at your face as well, Pras.
put
So
too
you're gonna
much
make
of
sure
the
everything's
concealer.
yeah.
What about you, LR? How's it going? Enjoyed the game last night?
Yeah, man. I mean, our team did so well. Cole Palmer, currently my favorite player in the league. It's just incredible. But for somebody, whose real life team, United, as well as FPL team, is taking so much. I'm quite in a nice, happy, chirpy, brightly mood. Probably might have to do with, something with Palmer. But speaking about bright, happy, chirpy mood, you've been killing it in FPL, Zoff. Had a nice week. There's been a little bit of a Namak Iska. Probably your favorite player to pick on the wildcard. Is that? Tell us about how
Oh,
the
yeah.
journey's been. What rank are you at right now?
At about 23k now, 21 points off the top 10k. So I think the free hit, some gambles will have to be taken. But it's been good. I didn't really expect that because Sunday, basically went into Sunday with Saka left. Didn't have Saka because he did the whole thing on Saturday with Saka out. Had only Gabriel. Didn't have Saliba or one single Arsenal defender and just Salah and non-cap. So the results of Sunday could went like absolutely 10 out of 10 to set me up for Monday. Good
Which
week.
also went
Yeah.
10 out of 10, right?
Yep.
I mean, you had double defense.
Yes, I did. Chelsea got a clean sheet. I think it's like got a fifth or sixth, maybe seventh clean sheet of the season. Incredible. But I have to say something about Jackson and Madueke. The whole thing that was horrible, man. I've genuinely never wanted to slap a couple of footballers more than I did yesterday. Insolent children, man. Absolutely infuriating.
Yeah, it was genuinely schoolboy stuff. Like that's what I thought.
The second time
And
you
I
see
love that-
Jackson went away and then he came back the second time. That was
Yeah.
like, bro, what is this?
I just love that Palmer's is pushed in. He's like, screw it. And the entire, don't they understand that this guy is now a golden boot contender? Like they need to bloody understand that. That's all, man. He got his hat trick, but he's got a chance, legit chance to win the golden boot.
It just
And he
shows.
started
Yeah.
playing
Sorry,
the season game week 7 or game week 8. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Like he's competing with Haaland and Watkins, and he's got 30 returns in 24 games. That's just mind blowing. Go on, Pras.
I mean, I was just saying, it just shows basically the dressing room culture, right? I mean, that they still think of him as a kid, right? Even though he's like the talisman, but they're like, okay, we can take his penalty. He scored his hat trick or whatever. But it makes zero sense. And I put it down to Poch, man. I mean, if your manager allows this stuff, then it happens. If I mean, otherwise, this stuff doesn't happen in other teams. Like, it's kid behavior. It's embarrassing.
It is
I don't
kiddish
even think
behavior.
it's a Poch thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a Poch thing at
Poch
all.
was fuming.
Mm.
He was
No?
fuming looking at that.
No.
Yeah, but if the rules are clear, this guy's the penalty taker. There's no discussion because it's happened 2 times before.
Right.
Sterling has tried to steal it once, got rejected. Second time he did steal it and missed. This is the third time it's happened, and maybe I've missed a couple others.
Yeah,
Right.
but again,
Probably this
just
Palmer's a young
immaturity.
guy, right? So they're trying to take
Exactly. Yeah.
advantage of that.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Just immaturity,
Yeah.
greediness, and like, do that when it's like 1-0 or something at least show. But now just to get some up stat padding and all that stuff was horrible to see. But let's talk a little bit about the cricket, LR. So the Mumbai Indians Chennai game was also quite interesting.
It was. I mean, the Mumbai home crowd was cheering loudly for Dhoni the moment Hardik Pandya came on and Dhoni whacked him for 3 sixes.
The deliveries, the
I-
4 laddu deliveries, what we call them, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. In this entire fiasco, like I do have some sympathy for Hardik Pandya. Like it's not easy being under the firing line, and when the whole world is talking about you, when the whole world is dissing you, when the whole world is criticizing you. It's easy to criticize when everybody's criticizing, right? Like so, I hope he comes out of it. It's not easy. If you saw Kevin Peterson's interview on Star Sports after, which was quite, he spoke about it, right? I've been in the firing line, is what he said. It's not easy. I hope he comes out of it because people forget he's still an Indian player. Like whatever you might think of him and whatever he's done, which might be in bad taste, I do have some sympathy for the guy.
Agreed,
Yeah.
guys. Let's get started.
Before we get into the swing of things, I was actually in our YouTube studio area section, and just want to say our followers have been doing a bad job. Like, we've got 119 subscribers who've been added in the last 28 days. Guys, that's just terrible. I mean, you need to show some more support here. We're asking for it. We do our best to come on every week. And we've been pretty consistent with the content. Just can do better than 119 subscribers in the last 28 days. Show us some love. Hit the like and subscribe button. We would really, really appreciate it. Be grateful for that. So, that's just a pledge from my side. Hit like and subscribe.
Lovely plug. Let's get started with our sponsors.
So all stats that you'll see today are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area, and you can still become a member. You can still get the last 1 month of the membership, and you'll see as we use the data that it really helps with the decision making between certain players, and you'll see it throughout this pod as well. So if you want to check it out, become a member. The link will be in the description in the video below.
And as you guys know, the FPL Wire is also partnered with NordVPN. I thought we'd made this section interesting by doing a show recommendation of the week. So I'll come to you, Zoph. You're quite a pop culture enthusiast, in sync with the shows that are there. What's your recommendation for our listeners and viewers this week?
I think top of the list has to be Shogun. The new episode just dropped today. I know it's a little bit mainstream. Most people would have heard of it, but I can't rave enough about it. Fantastic detail. The sets, the acting, the performances have all been top notch.
All right, that I've seen the show as well, and I agree with Zophar Sama's recommendation here. So if you guys haven't already seen it, and if it's not showing in your country, then you can use NordVPN and stream it in a library that is showing it. NordVPN can also access content outside of your region. You can get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services. And say you're traveling outside your country, you can access the home library content as well. It also has an efficient anti-malware, anti-spyware protection. It highlights any attack and deletes it before you make a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire and get a huge discount on your NordVPN plan. And you get 4 extra months for free if you click on the link in the description below.
Let's get started.
By the way, on shows, do you know the 99 documentary is coming out on Amazon Prime Video on Man United's treble? So the answer to City's treble, there's a documentary on Man United's treble.
Did you guys enjoy the City one?
I didn't watch it.
I haven't seen it.
Can't do
don't
it.
know if I don't know if I'm gonna watch it either.
Only the Chelsea fan has seen the City one.
Right.
There was a couple of interesting ones. The whole Pep's so intense. And just let's start off talking about the leaks, right? The whole Pep. We saw the press conference yesterday. It's something out of The Departed, right? The whole flushing out the leaks and everything. What do you guys think?
I think you called it. You called it when the whole thing was happening. I think even on Saturday morning we were all debating, right? I mean, what's going to come out, what won't come out, and it didn't feel normal. I don't know for what reason, but we were even debating on Saturday that let's be cautious about what is coming out. And clearly, I think from the interview, what stood out is the reporter was asking, was there a late change, right? That does not imply leak. That simply just, it's a question, right? Was Foden close to starting? He then volunteered immediately. That a lot of people think that he was starting. I know the leaks were wrong. He is on Twitter for sure, and he knows the guys who leak the thing.
It's not just Twitter. It's on mainstream. Once Twitter does it, then all the City fan accounts do it. Then eventually the journalists do it. So the information has definitely been percolating to him over the last month. And I think obviously now we need to be cognizant that we might get fake news, and B, we might get no news.
Yeah. And you can't trust it anymore. You can't be 100% sure anymore.
It happened with Liverpool also, right? Curtis Jones is what the experiment was. So even that, in terms of the league lineup versus the real lineup, the league lineup had Szoboszlai, and the real lineup had Curtis Jones starting as well. So I wonder if something happened there as well.
Even Konate.
Yeah.
I think they had
I also think it's just like the business end of the season, right? Like if you're in a no margin title race, you can't, like, I'm sure the clubs are trying to do their bit to make sure that the news doesn't get out.
They have to. And I'm surprised, honestly, it's taken so long, because we've been getting leaks for games on Sunday, almost on Friday evening and stuff like that, right? It's been ridiculous. So it's all for the better, I think. A level playing field is better for everyone. Speaking of the title race, before we talk FPL, what are you guys' thoughts on that, on what just happened this Sunday? A lot of pundits are saying that the title race is as good as over. City won't drop points. Do you guys share that?
No.
No, me neither. I mean, it's 2 points, man. One game.
It's
I
true.
share the sentiment that City are favorites. They are the more experienced club in this position. And, Zoph and I spoke about this, and we won't be surprised if there are droop shoulders or, pressure gets onto a Liverpool or an Arsenal who are already looking pretty exhausted, right, in terms of their high intensity, mad pressing game that they play. But it's still 2 points, man. Like we've seen 6 points getting covered in this period. City are favorites, but it's too early to say the title race is over, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that. But I think the next few games are going to be quite decisive for both teams. The fixtures, I guess, aren't really easy, especially for Arsenal, because Chelsea are on a bit of an upturn now. They play Chelsea and Tottenham very soon.
Yeah. And it's not even that, right? It's the period that they have. It's 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2
Let's
days.
talk about that.
And a
Good
lot of their
segue into it.
players are on their last legs at the moment, So I'm a little worried about Arsenal.
But
Go
just
on,
in
Pras.
terms of the title race, I think the sequencing of games is also important. Because even though they all have the same number of games left, Liverpool and Arsenal will play 2 now in the midweek. So they'll be a game ahead, which basically means that if they do continue to win, they'll actually be ahead of City. And then we'll go into game week 30, obviously assuming they continue to win. They go into game week 37, City will have to win both of those games. So it is, even though City have it in their hands, I think still it is close because of the sequencing of fixtures as well, because the other two play first, the extra fixture.
Yep. And with Liverpool, I'm more concerned about the Fulham game, because Fulham has just been flying off late. I think at Craven Cottage, they will give them a fight. I think Everton probably might roll over, especially if you have Branthwaite out. Anytime I see Keane starting, there's no confidence whatsoever. But let's talk about the schedule a little bit, Pras. Why don't you just walk our viewers through it? I know LR had touched upon it in the last spot, but for those who missed it, let's do a refresher. I think we need to set this out before we discuss our picks now going forward.
Yeah, let me just open it as well. LR, why don't you start? Because you did it last time.
All right. So just in terms of what we have in front of us, Arsenal obviously have a midweek game against Bayern away. The game is very nicely poised. It's tied at the moment. And they've got an away tie to Bayern, where they have a 2-day gap before that. Then they have a 2-day gap, and then they have an away tie to Wolves. Then they have a 2-day gap, and then they have a home tie against Chelsea. Now, you're probably going to assume that their first team plays against Bayern. I won't be surprised if there are one, maybe two on paper first team players that are rotated for the Wolves away game, especially if they move into the red zone, etc. Either that happens or Arteta says, you know what, like we can't really afford to lose another game. And Arsenal's situation is not like City's, right, where a De Bruyne is replaced by a Foden is replaced by a De Bruyne. Like the squad in difference in terms of first team versus second team is fairly significant when it comes to Arsenal, in my opinion. And already Odegaard has a slight niggle. Arteta mentioned in his post-match presser that it was a small thing, but just things to note of if you are on free hit or if you're thinking of buying Arsenal players this week. Liverpool, I think Liverpool, the game on Thursday against Atlanta is huge for anybody that's looking to buy Liverpool players and anybody that's free hitting. The Atlanta tie can go one of both ways, where Klopp is saying, you know what, I'm going to try recovering this game, and he plays first choice, or he plays a firmly second choice team in his play. But what's happened at Liverpool now is you can, because Gakpo, Jota, Darwin, Salah, and Diaz are all fit. Even Harvey Elliott, for example, is fit. You can assume that the starting lineup against Atlanta away is going to be correlated to the Fulham away tie, because again they've got 3 away ties they've got 4 away ties in the row. Atlanta away, 2-day gap, Fulham away, 2-day gap, Everton away, 2-day gap, West Ham away. That's a brutal schedule. I don't think even Salah is nailed on for 180 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised to see anywhere between 130 to 150 minutes for Mo Salah in the double. Even Salah's older now, and you can see visibly he isn't the same Salah that
he's not even playing well. That makes a difference, right? If he's absolutely scintillating form, then you play him.
Exactly. So that's something you tread cautiously with. Like Liverpool picks, because of their schedule, like outside of Salah, anybody else in the front four are dodgy. And I think you are going to have to backtrack and backwork and guesstimate, especially if you're on free hit, based on that Atlanta lineup. I think that's a very, very key lineup.
I think both points are crucial here. I mean, we talk about on this pod a lot the Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. So Liverpool have that plus a Thursday before that. I mean, that is as bad as it gets. And their away ties, all four of them. And I think even your Arsenal point is crucial because had they won Villa, you would have thought maybe some rotation in Wolves, but they'll have to flog them. Like, I mean, we'll talk about individual picks and individual teams which are more rotation proof than others, but ultimately, what's the choice? They have to play their first team against Bayern, first team against Chelsea. So Wolves maybe on the margin, but they're not City that you can just rest a Foden, which is Saka equivalent, or you can rest a De Bruyne, Odegaard equivalent. They can't do that.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's all. And especially because some of the players, like if you're talking about Saka, right? Like I was surprised looking at his numbers in terms of minutes in the last few games. Let me just see if I have it in front of me. I'm going to quickly read out the minutes that he's getting in the league. The last game he managed to get 90 minutes and he clocked an impressive XG of 0.81. But before that it was 63, 77, 90, 45, 75, 68, 66, 78. So there are even when you're looking at Saka, like I wouldn't be expecting 180 minutes. You're looking at approximately 150 minutes if you are putting a fair estimate on something like that.
I'd agree with that.
Going to be tough. Minutes is going to be tough. And then you have to sort of counter the upside with minutes certainty, like a classic Trent versus Van Dijk, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. And let's just talk about the other clubs that are having a double when we're discussing the schedule. Crystal Palace, who I think all free hitters are looking at triple Crystal Palace at the moment. The key thing is that they've got 2 home games in the double. And they've got a long game gap before the home game against West Ham. Then they have a 2-gate gap, and then they have a home game against Newcastle. Now, the key here is that West Ham have a 2-day gap only before their game against Crystal Palace. And we saw Moyes spoke about it in his press conference as well, how there were tired legs, etc., that played into the result. West Ham conceded 3.26 XG to Fulham in the game last week. So they haven't been defensively really good this week. And if they play a first choice team, they have Bowen injured anyway, then it looks good for your Crystal Palace assets. Because West Ham have a very tight schedule. They've got the Thursday. I don't know if the game's on Saturday or Sunday. But they've got a Thursday.
It's always
they've
Thursday,
got a Thursday
Sunday.
game.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. Bournemouth have a 2-day gap, but I'm not worried about rotation. You're only really looking at Solanke if you're looking at Bournemouth, and he's locked on for 150, 160 plus minutes comfortably.
Bournemouth, the issue is injuries, I think, right? Because we have problems now with Tavernier, Semenyo, Kluivert, and Sinistera. So where will Dom be playing? Is Dom going to be playing 10? Is Dom going to be playing wide? So we'll get to that once we discuss it. But like you said, scheduling isn't as much of an issue there.
Right. I think it's more important for Arsenal and Liverpool, is what we spoke.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got Europe before, and obviously there's one team that we have disrespected, Sheffield United, that's not here. They play Saturday and Wednesday, so nice gap. And we'll talk about Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Best fixtures on paper.
Well, I would say Palace, then Sheffield United. Let's give some respect to Man United. I mean, we have to.
Something to mention on Palace, all those 3 games are like in London as well. So even though the Fulham game is away, it's a nice schedule, and it's a nice time for them to get the win also against Liverpool. Bit of momentum over there. And I think most free hits are going to be probably tripled up from your Arsenal, Liverpool, and Palace probably.
Yep.
That's what it's looking like from what I've seen. At least 9 players from this, and then like you add a couple.
Yeah. But like, if Liverpool play their first choice team against Atlanta, like things get a little worrisome in terms of where you go, at least in terms of attack. So let's get into it. Let's get into players and teams and discussion. I think we've discussed the thing. What we'll do is we'll discuss the double game week players first. Then we look at them from a free hit point of view, and we look at them from a buy or not buy point of view. And then we move forward. What do you reckon?
Agreed. Who should we start with?
Let's start with the forwards.
Do you want to go team wise or do you want to go forwards?
I'm fine either way, whatever you guys would like.
Let's do team. I think let's talk team schedule. We've just talked about. Let's talk about sort of options and then come down to our best 3 options from each
Yeah, I
And then
think the best
we
picks
use of
can be discussed because Zoph and I have a free hit draft also that we're going to
correct.
show later, right? So we can do our pool of players who are considering when you're looking at defenders, mids, forwards later.
Cool.
Have you both
Start.
pressed the button, by the way?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good, nice.
Budget
Yeah.
isn't an issue, but still like pretty bored, pretty sick. So might as well do some fun with this. So this is the first I've got the Arsenal mids over here. Let's talk about the attackers. I think the defense we pretty much don't need to discuss. We know what the defense is. First off, in general, what is your thinking? Double defense or double attack? And this is primarily more for free hitters because most people otherwise have made their bed with Arsenal. If you're using transfers, you're
Correct.
already tripled up already. LR, what is your thoughts on this?
At the moment, so the entire thinking is that it's difficult for me to call a clean sheet at the moment, so that's the biggest reason why I feel like even though Arsenal's fixtures don't scream clean sheets to me, but they claim clean sheets by virtue of them being Arsenal. Like Wolves are a team that tend to score more often than not. And then there's Chelsea who found some good attacking rhythm as well. And both are defenses that you would like to take on with your attacker, but by virtue of replaceable assets. Like I can't find better defenders in play from the other teams, which is why, and there are good attackers if you're looking at the other teams, which is why, as things stand, I am on double defense and one attacker. But there could be a late change in the lineup, as has been trending in the FPL world at the moment. So that's where I'm at the moment.
I really want to own Kai for one game week, so it's pretty much double attack for me. And in general, so I think it's a Chelsea. I do think we will score, but I do think we will concede a few as well. Similarly for Wolves, at their own patch, they've given most teams a game this season.
Exactly. And defensively, they're not that strong. Like they do tend to concede, So I see value in that because they're both teams that are decent for attackers.
Plus,
And
So-
just in terms of numbers, Kai's got, I think, 5 big chances in the last 5 games. No, wait. Let me just get the stat out while Pras had something to
He
say.
has
Pras.
4 more big chances than Saka in the last 5 games. I think that was in the notes.
Exactly.
So basically, he's blowing Saka out of the water in terms of big chances. But my question is simply, Havertz played the full game against Villa. Probably going to start Bayern Munich. Then we've just talked about the schedule. So, I'm completely agreeing that he's become critical first team player for Arsenal. But he's not Odegaard nailed. He's not Saka nailed. So my question is, if people do want to go double attack, I guess I'll put my questions first and then we'll take them one by one. Why not? Why is nobody now suddenly looking at Odegaard? Because we know that he'll probably be fine, and in fact we'll find out by the time they play Bayern Munich that he'll be fine. So that's my first question. And the second question, I think LR made a fantastic point on replaceability. Like you tell me 2 other defenders that are better than Arsenal defenders. Forget the fixtures. They kept a clean sheet away to Man City. So if there are 2 or 3 better defenders than a second Arsenal defender, then I understand it. But we are struggling. Like we're coming up with a Crystal Palace defender, maybe a Liverpool defender with some upside. That's it. So there is some merit to think about maybe getting a second Arsenal defender. That becomes your 4, which is 2 Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and Liverpool. And then you have enough attackers up top to sort of complete your free hit team. So I'm obviously not on a free hit, and I'm actually very happy. And if I can be honest, I don't mind people going for Havertz because I think there's a chance he misses one game, or if not, then fine. I'll take him on with a Saliba or a Gabriel, whoever that is, as a second defender. So I think it's close.
Yeah. I likely have Havertz in my team for sure. Even if I'm going single attacker, I'll swerve Saka. Like one thing that I'm going to practice next season is that I need to start overvaluing penalties a lot more than I have this season in my head. But at the moment, he's the talisman of that attack. Majority of the chances are falling to Kai, even if he's playing 8, which he did against Villa. Most chances are falling to Havertz at the moment. So I will take on Saka if I have to. I might do Saka or second defender. That's the debate that I have. But Kai is nailed on. Very likely in my free hit team, in my opinion. He also seems like a fitness monster to me. He doesn't look tired. He's still running, etc. What do you reckon, Zoph, when you see that?
Yeah, I don't think minutes are an issue with Kai. He's very capable of playing every game in this schedule. He doesn't really do a lot of off the ball work also. So I think he can really rely on him. But I do like him a lot more when he's playing center forward than 8. I think at least one game of the 2 he should be playing that position, if not both. Because Jesus didn't really impress me.
Yeah, exactly. And there is one underrated point in this entire equation, right? Like people assume that if Jesus is playing, it's definitely Kai that's either going to be not playing or move back to the 8. I think that's not nailed on. I think Jesus is perfectly capable of playing on the right hand side as well. We've seen that in the past, and there might be some sort of interchanging. I only mention this as a factor because Saka's been carrying something for a while. Like that's the only reason why I'm mentioning. That's all.
It's a fair shout.
Yeah.
So fair
What do you
points.
think? One question I want to come to you guys about. What do you guys think about if you're going to defenders? Do you go Saliba plus Gabriel? I think Gabriel is nailed on. I showed a graph last week where saying that the Gabriel the centre backs, all the other defenders for Arsenal have the same number of attempts that Gabriel has. So don't even think about swerving Gabriel. He needs to be in your team. Do you go Saliba or White?
I think I'd still go Saliba. With White, I don't know. People say that like he is first choice, but still the lingering fear of Tomiyasu, it does concern me a little bit with the schedule.
I mean, when your defender goes off at 65th minute, that can be 59th minute also in another game.
That's my point.
This happened last year. I remember we owned White and he was taken off 59. It's not scaremongering, but it's basically like, what is the upside that you're getting? Like, he's not Trent. He's not Trippier. Like, he's not that attacking. He is more attacking than Saliba for sure. But then Saliba is really good at bonus. So I can see why somebody would want to do it, but I don't see why you want to risk minutes for safety. Like, you will get 2 starts from Saliba.
The expected minutes insurance are worth it for Saliba, in your opinion, over White?
I would actually even say Raya is a shout because people are struggling for a keeper on free hit. And there are good attacking defenders. So I can think of like Gabriel, Trent, or some other Liverpool defender, Munoz, and then you have a slot. So Raya could be that slot. So I can also make a case for a goalkeeper double defense.
Cool. Anything to add in terms of matchups? Wolves and Chelsea, we both agree that all three of us actually agree that we see Arsenal scoring a few goals also. So it's not a bad idea to double up on that attack, given what we're seeing from Chelsea and Wolves.
Absolutely. Upside is there.
All right. Rank your top 3 Arsenal players to own if you're on free hit. Go on, Pras, I'll come to you.
Gabriel. I mean, just because if you have to have him. I would still put Saka. And then I would put... See, I want to say Odegaard, but Havertz is playing really well. So I'll go for the recency bias. And so I'll say Havertz third.
Zoph?
Pretty much the same. Saliba in fourth.
All right. I go with Gabriel first, Havertz second, and then Saka / Saliba for my third spot. I believe that's strongly in Kai at the moment.
You guys are completely off Odegaard, right? I mean, if he started and Havertz also started, you don't think he gets more minutes or he has like...
Minutes, I definitely feel a bit more secure with Odegaard, but it's just from what I've seen, the ceiling also feels a little bit lower.
Seen enough of Havertz over the last... It's not like even 3 games, right? It's over 10 games now. We've seen that Havertz is the primary guy getting the chances in that team now. So it's not even the fact that it's a small sample size. It's a pretty significant sample size now.
Fair enough. There's a chance of Odegaard getting a second pen or maybe even the first pen. That's what maybe adds up in a double game week. But I hear you guys. I would probably pick Havertz over Odegaard as well.
All right. Cool. Let's move to Liverpool.
Yep. I don't think I have any particular data. We just have some stuff with the forwards away. Let's talk first Nunes.
And I've just gone through the Zoph experience of owning Darwin for the last 4 weeks. He's done okay, actually. Like, there's this thing of he misses tons of chances. Everybody was missing chances. Jota missed a chance in the last game. Curtis Jones missed a way bigger chance.
I love the way he found the keeper perfectly.
Perfect chance. Yeah, I mean, he didn't miss. So to his credit, he didn't miss. In fact, he hit it too well. He should have if he scuffed it a little, it wouldn't have gone to the keeper. But look, I can understand free hitters not going for him. It's a bit like Saliba, right? Where I can understand that he won't be the third pick for free hitters. But at the same time, I don't mind getting 110 minutes out of him or 120 minutes out of him. I think it's fine. He will still get a lot of big chances over the double.
I'm thinking, you know what? I have a feeling, and this is personal, just a feeling that Klopp is pretty fed up of him now. Because what has been happening with Liverpool over the last few games has been generating XG and missing big chances. And who's the poster boy for that, right? Nunes. So that's why go ahead.
That's the fans' poster boy. I mean, I'm sure Klopp knows better, right? I mean, everybody's missing chances. It's not just Darwin. In the last match, everyone missed big chances. It wasn't just Darwin, but of course you will see the Darwin miss or the Darwin shot that was saved more than the Curtis Jones chance or the
If
Jota
you
chance.
actually think about delta negative performance in terms of XG versus returns, it's probably Salah in the last 2 games. Genuinely, probably Salah.
Not
Like
even
he's
the
more
last
guilty
game, the
than.
Salah didn't even have chances. He had 2 shots, and I think
Yeah.
he had 1 big chance involvement in total. So last game, the Salah was
Yeah.
fully peripheral.
Exactly.
But then 3 games ago, remember that in the first half he had more shots than any other game he's had in his career. So I feel like with Salah, if minutes are there, then he could have a game where he spikes at 12 points. I mean, we don't need to big up Salah anymore. But I feel okay, he had a bad game, or there was this thing where Palace played in a certain way where Liverpool didn't click. I don't think we can just assume that he will be peripheral in the other two as well. So I mean, we're getting into captaincy discussions, but I just think, I mean, double game week, Salah on pens, and he will have a lot of shots. Still top pick for me.
Yeah, Salah's going to be in the drafts, in our free hit drafts. I think that's pretty much a given. Even and this is something I need to imbibe and take in from you guys, right? When it comes to playing the percentages, playing the effective ownership as well. Even if you want to swerve Salah, swerve the captaincy. Don't really swerve somebody who's going to be 150% EO, because it's not worth the risk, because penalties have mattered that much. Literally the difference this season so many times between a player having a good week and not having a good week has been penalties. It's about time we started talking a lot more about penalties. So Salah's not a question, but I think outside of that, which Liverpool attacker to go for genuinely depends on the Atlanta lineup. I think we are not going to have somebody who's played 90 minutes against Atlanta in our team if we are free hitting.
But what if Salah plays
unless
90?
his name is Salah?
Unless his name is Salah, right? That's the long and short of it. And if Salah plays 90 minutes, then you even consider if you have to.
You can rethink captaincy a little bit. At least that's where I am.
Include him. I'd spot on, Pras. That's where I would be as well.
I don't think Salah is the best captaincy option this week. Very genuinely feel that way. I think Fulham away and Everton away aren't easy ties. I don't think Salah's looked the same player as well, right? So that's my thing. And about the Darwin thing, right? A couple of other things that have happened is I thought Gakpo in the cameo appearance that he had was really good. I genuinely thought he played really well. He had a good game. And Jota's Jota in terms of finishing ability. And then there's the equation for Luis Diaz, who in my opinion has been Liverpool's best attacker in the last 7-8 games. He genuinely has been their most consistent attacker in terms of what he's creating. His underlying numbers are equivalent to Salah, which is no mean feat, right? So Luis Diaz is somebody we need to start thinking about a lot more. I just hope that he plays 60 minutes against Atlanta, because he looks like a very strong pick that the chalk might not own in their game week 34 teams unless on free hit. So I have him above Darwin as my preferred Liverpool attacker, second choice Liverpool attacker behind Salah at the moment.
I'm hoping Jota is on the bench. I think if Jota is, let's say, gets 30-40 versus Atlanta, I'm going to go for him over Diaz.
You like that upside that Diaz offers?
If Jota's center forward is your 15-20 plus point potential any game. If I get that for one game and a bench appearance of the other, I'd rather take that than a Diaz.
Yeah, and you're somebody who won't mind 120 minutes of Jota just because of the finisher he is.
Exactly.
But let me ask you guys, and this question also applies to Trent, by the way. If they start against Atlanta, then you're worried, is he going to start 3? If they don't start, then you're worried, is he fit enough to start the next 2? So what are we getting from the Atlanta game is my question. What is your ideal outcome?
I guess what you would look is maybe the lineup as a whole. If the entire lineup is a full strength lineup, it's in your midfield also, right? You also have to look at who he's playing in midfield. Let's say he's playing McAllister, Szoboszlai, Endo. That to me would say it's very much a full strength lineup. And then I have to look at the front 3 and see who's playing along with that. Now, if those midfield guys, let's say, are rotated a little bit, you see your Gravenbergs in there, you see your Jones, maybe Elliott in there. That makes me think it's a bit of a rotated lineup and he's sort of willing to throw the tie away.
Right.
My opinion on Trent is very different though. I genuinely think he's a trap. I don't want to sit on the fence with this opinion. People think, we got news, by the way, just before the pod that Bradley is likely going to be out for 3 weeks. But where Trent and Jota are in terms of their fitness and in terms of their recovery are at different places, in my opinion. Like Jota has already had a 25-minute cameo. He was looking like he was there. Trent is somebody Klopp had to throw into the fray because Bradley got injured in the 48th minute and he couldn't continue. And you need to realize that Trent was coming off of an injury. Klopp played him earlier than he should, which is why Trent got injured again and had to sit out for a longer time. We have Gomez, who's perfectly capable of playing on that side. Uh, I feel Trent playing 2 games is a long shot. I don't see it personally. And yeah, Trent is carrying all that weight and adding all that upside, etc., as a pick. But we're talking about a team that hasn't kept a clean sheet in 11 games now. Genuinely. Like if Liverpool were defensively much better, if they weren't playing Fulham away, Fulham are at home are beasts. Like I think it's fairly nailed on that Fulham score at least against Liverpool because they've been that good at home and are in good form. They had 3.2 XG against West Ham. Don't forget that. And they are just a different beast at home. I don't think it's worth it when it comes to Trent. Like, I don't know what his minutes are going to look like. You could easily see 57 minutes and then a 20-minute cameo on the other side. I don't think the upside is there when it comes to Trent, personally.
That's fair, but I think you're still advocating going for a Liverpool defender, right? So the alternatives are Van Dijk and Robbo, who's actually been quite good since he's come back. I know Baker will hate us for saying this, but Robbo's a legit pick.
Robbo is a good pick. Robbo is good for minutes. Not as attacking, but good attacking output.
Right. He's
It's
taking
back to
set
the
pieces
old.
on the one side of completely as well.
Exactly. So it's back to the old Robertson versus Van Dijk debate for me. Because I am also inclined, unless something changes in the Atlanta game, that I don't see 2 starts from Trent. I see Gomez starting one, which then means that Robertson could probably start both on the left, and Trent starts one, Gomez starts the other. So this could happen. Of course, we're guessing. But I guess the other question is, what would happen if they beat Atlanta, which is unlikely, versus if they lose? Because if they lose, then league is all they have left to play for. So who is rotating, man? 4 games left, right? I mean, Andy makes the point in the chat. 5 games left for Klopp. Does he need to mass rotate? I mean, he's leaving. He needs to win every game.
And they're
Yeah,
tough games.
I agree.
They're tough games. That's what also makes a difference. Not games where you can play your second string team, Fulham away, Everton away.
I'm with you, Pras. I'm bullish on Robbo and Van Dijk. I think if you're picking a Liverpool defender, it's the other 2 names instead of Trent because it's just much more surety. The chasing the upside with, if you want to chase an upside with an attacking Liverpool defender, it's got to be Robbo, not Trent, in my opinion. And he looked really good. 4 chances created in the last game. And even if you're watching the game, he was on it. Like he was probably Liverpool's best player in that game. Even if you remember the goal line clearance that he made, he was really, really good in the game. So Robbo, or you try to spike a Van Dijk header off a corner, that's very much possible over 2 games. I don't even think Alisson's a bad pick. Like in a world where we're looking for keepers, the difference between Raya and Alisson as keepers is Alisson gets saves.
He
Like
has upside too.
Liverpool concede chances. So Alisson's capable of like a 4-pointer non-clean sheet or a 9-pointer or an 8-pointer clean sheet because he gets saved. So at the moment I have him in my free hit draft because I just think he's capable of saves. I think he's a decent pick. I prefer him to Raya.
I'd agree with that. I think in isolation, but I do think that the thing is you have the upside defenders there, right? I still can't get over leaving out one of Trent or Robbo or the attackers in there.
Where are you with Trent, Roth? Because he's not in my medium of consideration.
Because I think the factor what Pras just mentioned, right? Because they have very little to play for, and what I am looking for is him possibly being on the bench against Atlanta. And thing is with Trent, you can have more of the chance of that Dongo goal where he just shoots from outside the box, takes a free kick, and all that stuff. And right now, I'm a bit more willing to gamble personally because I think Pras mentioned this on Twitter. 100k to 50k is another bracket. 50k to 10k is another bracket. I'm at 23k now. If I let's say get this wrong, I can maybe see myself going to 40, 45k, but I have 21 points now to make up to the top 10k. Yeah. So I need to go for these high ceiling guys who no one will own. And when are you going to get a sub 10% ownership trend in a double?
But just take note of expected minutes pretty strongly.
Definitely.
That's what I'm going to say.
Keep things where they watch things, how the Atlanta game goes, how much energy they expend and everything. But they have to go for broke now. That's the feeling I have. Like if Trent gets injured, Trent gets injured.
The only thing that I want to say is that is a non-fully fit Trent the best option for Klopp anyway? Especially if they try to do the lopsided thing, and Robbo was so attacking in the last game. Like, what if Robbo is a dedicated lopsided attacker that's given the license to roam because he's in an attacking? And I'm the point that I'm trying to make at you sitting at 26k from an effective owner point of view is nobody's going to own Van Dijk or Robbo either way.
Van Dijk, yes.
So that,
Van Dijk I've seen in quite a few teams. The Elite 64, I think, is still around 25-30%. Robbo is up very low. So you could argue that Robbo is the same thing. I'd accept that, but it doesn't feel like he has the same ceiling to me. That's where the difference is.
Fair enough.
I'm open. These are just my thoughts now.
Yeah.
What we will likely do for you guys, we will probably do something on Friday morning as well when we react to the Liverpool lineups, because right now we're just guessing. By then we'll have much more of an informed decision. We see more lineups, and then by then we'll see Arsenal lineups as well on Wednesday. So we will do a supplementary shorter pod on Friday for you guys.
Cool. One player I want to talk to you, because we've discussed Darwin, we've discussed Salah, we've discussed defense. Well, where are you guys on Luis Diaz?
Just pull up some of his numbers. I think that's right. We have them over here. Now, this is NPXGI plus last 6 matches or just over the season?
Last six, because we wanted to include Havertz numbers as well.
Correct. So for the audio, guys, I'll just read them out real quick. Diaz is at 0.8, Ezed's 0.8, Soboslai 0.6, Havertz 0.59, the same as Brereton Diaz. So the numbers are definitely good for Diaz getting into a lot more positions. But is he also potentially a threat now with Jota back?
They all are.
They all are, aren't they?
Most Liverpool fans think it'll be Gakpo and Jota starting one. I mean, maybe not that combination, but it'll be Diaz and Darwin starting the other. So you're getting 120 minutes from all these attackers. I mean, base case again, taking Atlanta minutes out of the equation. So it's a question of who is the most explosive. If you think Diaz gets more minutes than 120, maybe okay, Diaz is worth it. But the data
I think it's fair to say that Diaz's expected minutes are higher than Jota and Gakpo. I think it's a fair statement to do.
Fair enough. But his data is lower. It's about 10% lower than Darwin, and probably you can say similar for Jota. So you're saying, will he get more than 10% minutes to make up for the 10% lower underlying data? If you're comparing Liverpool players like for like, I think in isolation as a midfielder, you can see here he's up there. I mean, he's better data than Havertz, better data than Saka last 6. So
same as Salah.
Like
top 2 in the league, NPXGI last 6 is Diaz and Salah. Like that is how good his underlying numbers have been amongst all outfielders.
Right.
Yeah.
He's also creating now. I remember earlier with Diaz was an issue. His creativity numbers are non-existent. He actually has a few chances created as well now. Interesting options. And I guess, I think Atlanta lineups will tell us a lot. But I guess none of the midfield guys, just to touch upon Soboslai and all that stuff you're really looking at. It's just primarily in the front 3.
It's Darwin, Jota or Diaz, basically. Or you can go for 2 of them and basically say, I'll avoid the defense. Have you guys thought about that?
Triple attack?
Yep.
I don't know. Are they scoring enough goals for that? The problem is, I guess, your lack of options in defense. I don't know.
I think there are enough options in attack.
Yeah.
In a world where 5 Liverpool attackers are fit, I have a problem going with 2 attackers, never mind 3.
Yeah, and you have the upside defenders as well, because even Van Dijk, as you remember from the last double Pras, has the goal set. Even this game, I think he came very close for that Darwin shot. It was a Van Dijk header.
Somebody like a Van Dijk, you can always get lucky with a goal. Like, it really just depends on what your juju is that week. But it's always a fair shout to get spiker defender goals.
So when you have your one, you can always pick one upside defender. I don't see the sense in tripling up on the attack.
Well, when we'll come to my team, I have that as an option because I obviously don't have the luxury to move around the defenders and stuff. So I could be looking at Diaz, Darwin, and Salah as my 3 because that just makes some sense. But we'll talk about that.
I think it's a good point to talk non-free hit. One, now that we've finished discussing Arsenal and Liverpool, is would you buy anybody at this point if you didn't have a wildcard in Gameweek 35 from either of these 2 teams?
So I think no, which is a strange thing to say because, if you don't have a wildcard to bail you out, basically we've talked about this in the past, that the teams that are doubling this week, you don't necessarily need them after this week. And in fact, I can think of on my wildcard, how many players will I have from the team that I will have in Gameweek 34? Very few. I mean, Palmer and Son. And Son I will sell and Haaland, maybe that's it. So point is that, if you're looking to navigate this period without a chip, which is no wildcard and no free hit in 34, then I think the bigger discussion is who do you sell to get this third Liverpool or third Arsenal? If you're selling a Man City player, if you're selling a Spurs player, a Chelsea player, all these players you need back. So you're actually spending 2 transfers to get a third Liverpool or a third Arsenal, then take them back to somebody else. Even Newcastle would be in that territory. So I guess my answer would be no, because these doubles aren't that appealing that you have to. Now, Salah is important, Saka is important. For me, maybe for you, Havertz is. A defender from Arsenal is important. Maybe a defender from Liverpool is important. After that, I don't think you need to break your team to get the third.
That's a fair shot. I'm just looking at Liverpool's fixtures after. It's West Ham away, it's Tottenham at home, Villa away, and Wolves at home. Mixed bag of fixtures.
You don't even think a Liverpool defender is important because none of them strike you as clean sheet fixtures. Like, I think you can swerve there. Arsenal defender, maybe a different story because Arsenal are by far the best defense in the league. So, that's a sort of different story. I agree with that.
Most people already have not looking to bring in Arsenal. Almost everyone who's not wildcarded or not on a free hit is already tripled up. So I think it's more of a relevant question for Liverpool.
Yeah. Maybe Salah if you...
Interesting. I just noticed how good Palace's fixtures are in after the double. It's Fulham, Manchester United, Wolves, and then Villa at home in the final of the season. Not bad at all.
They're a stronger buy at this point than Liverpool, you'd think, maybe.
Perhaps. Or there are other options, right? If you don't have a wild card you could even look at a Man United. They're home to Sheffield United this week, and then they have the good fixtures. They have a double. So Zoph is laughing, but that's
I'm
a
not
team
liking
you can
any
target.
posts though. I have to be very careful about liking.
Your boy Garnacho has unliked them now, so it's fine. But so I think Newcastle, Man United, also okay sides if you wanted to target.
Just wanted to add one more team. 3 home games in a row. Arsenal at home is the tough fixture. Then you've got Bournemouth at home and Luton at home. I'm talking about Wolves. So if you're looking for short-term punts who don't really cost much, I don't think Wolves are a bad idea either.
3 home games in 7 days, right? You don't see that very often.
And even then, if you're somebody who's bench boosting in 37, right? They've got Crystal Palace at home in 37. So their fixtures sort of line up nicely as a buy right now also. I don't think it's a bad option.
Let's round up, do our Liverpool rankings, and then we'll talk about some of the other teams. You're already close to an hour, so let's...
Wow.
Yeah, right. So let's try to move that along. Liverpool rankings, I think let's go with top 3. LRU first.
Salah, Robbo, Diaz.
Pras?
I have no third guy, man. I would say Salah, Robbo. I'll go for Trent. I'll go double.
Trent.
Yeah. I mean, I have no attacker that I can say with conviction, right? I mean, if Jota looks okay, I'm very tempted, but let's go for Trent.
For me, I think Salah, Trent, Jota. Just the last 2 guys who just want to go for the upside on the free hit.
Try listening to a Liverpool podcast or 2.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all. Because I'm a little worried.
We had a friend I forgot his name, who you spoke to at the beginning of the season, right?
Josh.
Distance cover, Josh. I'll be in his ears for sure on Friday.
Yep. And we also might have Alon from FML FPL coming over on Thursday as well. So, if that happens, we can pick his brain for Liverpool.
But again, I think it'll be difficult without the Atalanta game.
Yeah, agreed. Cool. Moving on, let's talk Crystal Palace, I think, because they're the team that have the most. We'll just do all the other teams as a picks together. Crystal Palace by far have 2 of the best fixtures, at least from an attacking point of view. You've got West Ham and Newcastle at home. And what's generally been the trend with Crystal Palace is whenever they've got Eze and Olise fit together, they're capable of putting past 3-4 goals. I thought they were really good against Liverpool in attack as well. Eze's underlying numbers are good. I think he's got 3 returns in the last 6 games since his start. Another interesting stat was whenever Eze and Olise have started together, which has been only 4 or 5 times this season, at least one or both of them have returned. And if you're thinking about Glasner's shape, which is a 3-4-2-1, I think it's the best suited formation for both Eze, Olise and Mateta, who's also a really good pick at the moment. Just good picks, whether you're thinking about Eze, Olise, Mateta, or Munoz or Mitchell, or even Henderson if you're struggling for keepers. But I think there's definite upside. And I just want to mention on Olise, just tread with caution, because what's happened with Olise is about 3 weeks behind Eze when it came to fitness. So if you're picking somebody like an Olise, I won't be surprised to see 60 minutes, 30 minutes. Because Glasner treated Eze's fitness also with caution. And this was the first time he played 90 minutes. Before that, it was 60, 60, 60, building up the fitness. So I think now Eze is at a level where he's fully fit. I don't think Olise is there quite yet. So if you're thinking of punting on Olise, I'm a little worried about his expected minutes. And I think that Mateta, Eze, Munoz, Mitchell, Henderson have much higher expected minutes. That's all.
I'd agree with that. Let's talk a little bit on the defense first. I think Plus you're muted. We couldn't hear you.
No, I was saying this one is a reasonably easy discussion in terms of Eze number 1, Mateta probably number 2, and a defender like Munoz number 3. And Olise as the flair pick for anybody who wants
Is
to do it. I think
Mateta
that's
nailed though? From what I think so,
Yes.
yes. And Shearer did or one of the pundits did a segment on Match of the Day also, talking about the link up between the front three. I don't see Edouard doing that. I do think Mateta is quite nailed.
Yeah. Was listening to Walsh also is an FML, who's a Palace fan from FML FPL. Now, his opinion is that Mateta has had a bad phase. And then ever since Glasner, Mateta has probably been playing some of the best football he's been playing in that Palace jersey. So, and what he offers compared to what the other striker Edouard offers is very, very different. So he's very nailed on. He's in and amongst most of the chances. He had 2 big chances in the previous game as well. His underlying numbers are also really, really good. He's at the end of chances. He offers space for Eze and Olise. Both of them, Eze and Mateta, play fairly central as well. So just a good pick. And Eze is on penalties and set pieces as well. So I think Eze is, if you're on free hit, is sort of like a no-brainer. Genuinely a no-brainer. And non-free hitters need to think about whether they want to get him in the team or not.
agreed. Just a correction, Eze still only played 76 minutes in the last game. So he was taken off. But ever since he's been fit, he's played over 63 minutes every time. So it's not like he was on the bench at all. But then the counter to that is they didn't really play midweek games, right? So yes, there is a possibility that Olise doesn't play both.
That's
or start both.
Between Munoz and Mitchell, I saw a few people mentioning that Mitchell was fairly attacking. Been watching a few Palace games. Munoz lives in the center of the box. Like, it's just surprising to me that he hasn't scored a goal. I think the goal is coming. Just a very good pick as a defender because I see him as an attacker. He tends to just chill. It's very Chilwell last year syndrome where he tends to spend time in the center of the box. So I really like him as a pick.
I'd agree with that. Mitchell, now the stats are 6 chances created for Mitchell versus just 1 for Munoz over the last 6 game weeks. But what you're saying in terms of eye test is spot on. I look at the touch maps. I shared this on the Discord also earlier. Mitchell is very much holding the width and hugging the touchline, while Munoz is definitely drifting into central areas a lot more. And there's some goal scoring pedigree also with Munoz, and I understand this is from the Belgian league. So you can only read those numbers with a pinch of salt. Now, before he joined Palace, he had scored 7 goals this season, 7 goals the season prior as well. Obviously, these numbers won't translate that, but it does show some sort of finishing pedigree for the player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it reminds me of Dean Cash situation. So I think, look, I have to caveat that I looked at the numbers. The underlying numbers are okay, like 0.1 XGI per 90, right? So we have to put a little bit of context behind it. But what I'm saying is all of XGI I've created from Munoz is XG and Mitchell is all XA. So I mean, you have to go for the XG guy, right? You want a goal. You want to spike a goal in one of those games. And I think, yeah, that's why Munoz is the better pick.
Yep. I think the Palace guys
top 3?
pick themselves top. I think this is going to be pretty unanimous. It's going to be Eze, Mateta, Munoz. The key, the curveball here is possibly Henderson. I think who is an option also for the keeper thing.
Agree.
You can go for double defense. Would you go for double defense or instead of Munoz?
It would be instead of probably Mateta, I think. I would probably stick Munoz. Oh, yeah. Instead of Munoz, yeah. I won't go double defense because I do think West Ham and Newcastle are both capable of scoring.
True.
No, also a perception in terms of them needs to change, where this isn't a Roy Hodgson team anymore. They're fairly sexy in attack and they just get a lot sexier when the front three are fit. So I think there are goals to chase here. And especially differential goals if you're on free hit. Plus, if you are not on free hit, would you buy Eze this week? I would consider buying him.
See, midfield slot, I already have him. But the midfield slots are very difficult, right? If somebody's sitting with Palmer, Gordon, Garnacho, these are not easy sells this week. And Son, and Al has Salah, Saka. you don't have a slot to buy Eze. So I can understand where you're sort of blocked from buying him. So in that context, I don't think you need to get him. But if you have a free slot where you have a midfielder you want to get rid of anyway, it's worth a transfer to hop onto Eze and then go somewhere else where you want to after. So
Yeah.
it's just one transfer.
People who are still reeling from, let's say, 29 or something, I don't think it's a bad option, even for a hit, to do a Morris to a Mateta and chase that upside in your striker spot also. I'd consider doing it, even if for a hit. I think it's worth the upside.
What about Muniz to Mateta? A lot of people
I
have
do
Muniz
that.
still.
I do.
I do that.
Muniz sort of, I think, has had his purple patch. I mean, he's definitely not like peak Ronaldo where you expect him to be scoring at the same rate.
Yeah. I'd want some skin in the Palace attack in this week.
The feel-good factor from the
Agreed.
Liverpool game should carry forward into it as well.
I mean, one thing on Mateta though, if you look at the strikers data, it's poor, right? I mean, so it's a case of eye test versus data.
Correct.
Where on the eye, that chance he had with Alisson, I mean, if I think it was not registered because he was offside or something, that would be like 0.9 xg. So
Correct.
it's a little bit of you're buying into the belief that he will be involved in goals because he is nailed and he is looking threatening and the attack is getting better. So it's a little bit of leap of faith because Mateta is a discussion to be had for non-free hitters where should you sell Haaland? Like should you sell Haaland for Mateta if you're dead ending? Or should you just play Haaland who has more than 2x his underlying data? So even if he plays half the minutes as Mateta, Haaland should score more points effectively without appearance points. So there is a discussion to be had there. And then there is the Cunha versus Mateta discussion or versus Solanke discussion as well.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Wolves, I think. I think that's a discussion I do want to have. Cunha is an interesting one.
Go on.
Yeah, good pick. Got the problem with Wolves is that one of the games is against Arsenal. So however good
It's
they are in
against
attack,
Arsenal who are just coming off Bayern, though. I think that sort of helps a little bit. The short rest period.
But stealing is one goal. You know, like you can't say they'll score 3.
Yep. And the thing is, there's a little bit of recency also there as well. Now, do you take that as like, form? The guy's form, he just scored like a brace. It was an individual solo goal he did score as well. Or do we count that as like, recency bias? It's hard to distinguish.
And also one thing when you're talking about Wolves attack is when now they'll have Sarabia, Wang and Mateta and Cunha fit. When the three of them are playing together, they really click in attack. Like the difference in what they're capable of doing when all of them are fit is fairly different. So think about that as well. I think he's a decent punt. Like in my head, I'm debating Cunha versus Solanke as an option for that second striker spot at the moment. Mateta is my other striker. So yeah, good pick.
Go to the strikers data off if you can.
Sure.
I mean, I just think I don't think it's close. I mean, maybe it's my bias of owning Solanke for a while, but we don't know if Cunha is on pens. Sarabia is very good at pens. Wang is good at pens. So you're comparing a player who's come off an injury.
Yeah.
And I mean, this happened to us in 29 when I was free hitting. You tend to think of the free hit as who are the players I want. And then you try to see who are the players other people don't have, and maybe I should go for those instead. I think to whatever extent we can, we need to remove that. And I was a lot more flexible in like the Arsenal second defender versus Havertz. So, but I really think in this, I think Solanke is the better pick. Like it feels like if people are avoiding him, it becomes a case of chasing upside, but it is not as good from an underlying data perspective, from penalties perspective. All you're playing is fixtures. And in Cunha's case, one of the games is Arsenal. So even the fixtures argument, like I can understand Mateta over Solanke, not that much Cunha over Solanke.
Fair shout. His underlying numbers, though, just worth knowing that the last game that he played before he got injured, he had a hat-trick against Chelsea. And then came back, first 90 minute start, he got a brace as well. He's got 7 goals, 4 assists in 11 starts. So he averages a return a game when he starts. But penalties are huge, man. You can't ignore penalties this season. They're huge.
I mean, that penalty they could have got against Man United. You would have seen Solanke on a 14-pointer or 15-pointer. This wouldn't be a discussion.
But like Zoph says, right, the injury situation also needs to be monitored.
This is true.
Where if Bournemouth have a lot more players injured, then you sort of take that into equation when weighing the strikers.
Correct. And you sort of also have to look up upon as a free hitter, which are the battles you take on. compared to the normal guys. And I think Solanke is one that I would potentially be okay taking on, because look at the two fixtures also. What do you see Bournemouth scoring? Maybe across the two games, that's Villa away and Wolves away. Maybe 3 goals. And I think that's a pretty ambitious thing. I would say that is the upper end of it.
Yeah, 2.
So you'd expect what, maybe 1 goal, maybe 2 return stops for Solanke?
But 2 is the same for Wolves as well. This is what I mean. Crystal Palace, you can say they'll score 4.
Correct.
But I don't see Wolves scoring more than 3 either.
Correct.
Fair shot.
Have we spoken about Nouri? We have not, right?
No. Just the update was in the post-match presser, he said that he was very close to starting, but then something happened on the last day, which is why he was on the bench. And now we have to just wait for the press conference before figuring he's an option. But it's also very likely that Nouri won't play in the front three now.
Yes.
Very likely going to play a wing back. So him playing as a wing back versus him, he's still a very good wing back and very attacking, but it's not the same as him playing as front three striker. Yeah,
correct.
That's all.
Munoz over Nouri, is that a contest or is it a clear Munoz for you?
At the moment, it's Munoz.
Same. Cunha versus
Solanke? If Hang or Wang wasn't fit and there was scope for Nouri playing in the front three, then I'd have him competing with Munoz. That's where I
totally agree. Cunha versus Solanke, where are you guys?
At the moment, Solanke is on my team.
I'm on Solanke.
I've got Cunha as the first sub right now, Solanke in there, but that's the one I keep interchanging from morning or evening. I've got Mateta as the constant.
Yeah.
That's what I keep going back and forth.
I just think Arsenal, the tiredness doesn't reflect in defensive capability. It reflects in attacking more. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you're tired and if you want, then you manage the game more. Then I don't think defensively it means you're looser. So I don't see that fixture still easier just because Arsenal are playing 2 games in quick succession. Maybe, Zinchenko starts one, Kivior starts the other. On the other side, White, Tomiyasu. That's still a good defense.
True. But I was just talking about the amount of pressures they put on the ball, stuff like that. But it's a valid point you make. Right. Let's move on to the next team. I think after Wolves, who else do you guys? Sheffield United, do you guys want to just touch upon?
LR is going to do some Diaz propaganda.
It's just a strong gut feeling that I have this double game week. He's playing Burnley at home, who has the keeper they have, and they're playing United.
I don't think Muric should start again, though.
Yeah. And they're playing United, who are obsessed with the number 20, because we keep conceding 20 shots every game. We're terrible in defense. Casemiro is an absolute walking, talking liability in our midfield at the moment. So I think from a pure fixtures point of view, he's got 2 of the weakest defenses that anybody out of the teams are playing this double game week. And he is properly out of position. Like, he is central striker in the Sheffield United team. And he's just a legit donger. So just from vibes and eye test, I think he's a good punt to go for. Because I think he's a goal scorer, proper goal scorer. Nobody's going to own him unless they're on free hit. So that's the punt I like.
Fair shot. Anything else to talk about that? I want to talk about keepers a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Let's do keepers.
I mean, before we saw the game yesterday, I think Pickford was pretty much the standout. And is there any reason why he shouldn't be? They still have 2 home games. They need the point. I think the Forest home game is the money fixture. The Liverpool game, you could see him get up to 3-4 points in terms of saves. Is Pickford a bad pick now?
Not a bad pick. I would say, there's a lot of game state, right? I mean, Palmer's first goal yesterday was such a worldie. Like, he made the goal. And then you're 2-0 down before the 20th minute. The whole team talk is out of the window, right? The whole Dyche plan is out of the window. Does that mean that he can't spike a 1-0 in one of the games? Of course he can. He's been doing it throughout. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I still think Henderson is better, but then Henderson is competing with Munoz, in which case Munoz is better. So this is why Pickford became a default keeper for a lot of teams. But it's okay. I mean, he's fine. This year, who has got points off keepers where they actually predicted to get points? Suddenly, Dubravka started getting clean sheets when not many people have him. Pickford got clean sheets when everybody sold him. It's just been that kind of a season. So I just feel if you have a keeper who's going to get save points, who has an odd chance of a clean sheet, why not? I mean, I don't think there's a big difference between a Pickford or a Henderson.
I'd agree with that. I've still got Pickford in there, and I think I don't think I'll change him unless we get confirmed news that Brathwaite is completely out. I don't think I can digest watching Keane for
Exactly.
for so
Like Sean Dyche is Sean Dyche. So I'm with you on that. But Pickford as a pick is Brathwaite dependent. If Michael Keane is anywhere near that first team, stay away from Pickford.
Ivan has been talking about Gerbich going for the Sheffield United keeper, and I think Baker has been on about Bogle the whole time. So what
Bogle is
about that?
injured now.
Bogle's injured, right?
Yeah.
What about the single game
I
week,
mean-
guys? Let's talk about maybe let's not just keepers, but this is something now more for people who are not on free hit. There are a lot of guys who are possibly looking to bench Palmer, bench Haaland even potentially. What do you think, Pras? There's some balance you have to find, right?
I mean, on a free hit, there's no chance. I play a single game.
No, not on a free hit. I'm talking about for non-free hitters. What are these guys you should play or bench?
Yeah, non-free hitters. Look, I think Haaland has. I mean, for me, the situation with Haaland is he's not worth a hit to take out to somebody else, to a Mateta, Cunha, even a Solanke. But in isolation, if I'm on a free hit, I play one of those guys. So if we talk expected points, let's say I would say they're one or 2 points more expected from Mateta and Cunha over the double versus what Haaland gets. So starting Haaland is absolutely fine. I mean, there's no issue whatsoever. I will probably do it as well. But yeah, in an ideal world, I would not like to do that. But it's not, it's not like the game week 29 where it's a blank spot and you have a full player. It's a case where you have an extra fixture, but that doesn't mean in that extra fixture, Haaland cannot outscore a Mateta. So I think he's fine. Palmer, I'm less bullish. Again, it's away to Arsenal. So we're talking 1 goal for Chelsea. And, Palmer has 50% involvement. So let's say he gets an assist or I think you can swerve him, given all the other midfielders we've talked about. But again, if you are in a situation where you're trying to navigate through this chipless, no wildcard after 34, not the end of the world if you need to play him.
Just want to state on Man City that they have the game against Madrid, then they have a 2-day gap, and then they have the FA Cup game against Chelsea. But after that, there's a 4-day gap for the Brighton game. So, there's a substantial enough rest. So if you're worried about Haaland starting versus Brighton, very likely he starts versus Brighton.
The only thing is you have to go in blind. He could get potentially injured in the FA Cup. That's the only risk you have to take.
Yeah,
but the Palmer situation is quite interesting with the whole 26-pointer and then benching him right after, right? When's the last time we've ever done that?
Yeah.
Double game weeks.
I think if you have Palmer, you play him. Who are you benching him for? Like Garnacho?
That's what it probably is for a lot of people, right? You're Manchester United guys.
No, I would not bench him for a single game week. No chance. Yeah. I mean, he has 3 times the underlying data of Garnacho.
He's golden boot.
Yeah. No
contender.
chance.
He's got the highest points in FPL amongst everybody.
Yeah.
We are talking Palmer versus Eze, or we're talking Palmer versus Diaz, or the Sheffield United Diaz. Although when I say that, it sounds maybe that's not a good idea, but you got to do it. So it's between doubler and a Palmer, not a singler and a Palmer.
And we sit out here and we narrate stories and build theories and try to be objective. But one of the stories that I strongly believe in this game week 30 to 38 phase is how strikers are greedy when it comes to the golden boot. This narrative builds into Palmer, Watkins and Haaland just being slightly 10% better in my perception as picks because they're greedy. They don't like giving away that title to anything. Are you telling me that Watkins and Haaland haven't noticed Palmer edging on and becoming a 20-goal player? 100%. Like Watkins admitted in his post-match interview, he said, I won't lie that the golden boot is on my mind and it's what I want to do and I want to win the golden boot. Haaland will want to keep that. Like these things play on selfish strikers' minds. It's one of the theories I personally strongly believe in. So don't bench Haaland.
Agreed. Golden boot is a thing since Harry Kane days. We've always been looking at that.
Yeah.
What else? Let's talk
captaincy. Haaland has dropped. Haaland has dropped,
man. Haaland has shown he's human.
He's nothing to deny that.
Even that chance, you look at the one against Luton, I think when he was one-on-one with the keeper, he ended up getting the assist. Normally, like last year when Haaland scores that, you're almost already celebrating. The ball is going in the net. But my default feeling, the base case I felt was that Haaland is going to miss. There's a significant shift in that expectation, I think, this season. Haaland is definitely human. Now, he's getting 20 goals. So, but almost so is everybody else. It's not like you're 35, 30 goals. And again, I'm not going to the whole League 2 and all thing. I think that was the whole clickbait with Keane done. Still a very good player. Still a very good side. He getting a lot of service, but definitely not the same as last year.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, Haaland did miss 2 months, which was maybe 4, 5 games, but Palmer also missed 7, 8 games. So look, I don't disagree. But I think to answer your question, those are the two, maybe even a Foden, that you could think about for teams not on free hit that you could play, and it's not the end of the world. And our friend FPL Pig Ronald, he's bench boosting, and he's bench boosting with Haaland and Palmer. I think that's fine. It's not the end of the world. You have two doubling keepers and a third guy on the bench who's got a double, and Palmer and Haaland as the other bench guys. It's fine.
Captaincy, move on to that. I think that
Before we get into captaincy, Zoph, why don't you throw in a like and subscribe plug?
Right, guys. So thank you again for listening to us, joining us, help us get the pod out a bit more. I'm struggling a bit, but we're all here. Do support us with a like and subscribe plug, please. And if you want to join as a YouTube or a Patreon member, our link is patreon.com/the FPL Wire. There's a dedicated free hit channel. We're discussing a lot of picks, sharing a lot of stats. It's been a lot of fun, so do join us over there as well. We might be doing something for the Euros. We're in talk with Scout as well. We will share that information once we have it.
And there's going to be another video, like you mentioned earlier in the stream, on Friday. And even next week, we'll plan to do 2 videos because I'll be on Wildcard, and it's also another week where there's a lot of fixture change. So things will change a lot. So you'll hear from us a couple of times.
I'll also be on Wildcard.
Double
yes,
chip,
of course.
Double dipping.
I'm telling you, I'm
especially
chilling,
going to be
having
picking
fun.
a new squad, I think, on back-to-back weeks. Have you ever done that?
It's pretty cool.
No. I'm making 15 plus 15, 30 picks in 2 weeks. Genuinely. Like, it's the most exhausting. After that, I'm going to just relax and retire.
Do you know, I was
think this
thinking,
week-
LR, you could have wildcarded last week and actually had a bonanza. Like wildcard 33, free hit 34. Obviously, this is in hindsight because all the picks that did well last week are picks that you're going to want in 35. Newcastle, Chelsea, they did well.
I missed the Newcastle boat. Like, Zoph's done incredibly well with Isak, and I think Gordon should be in his plans very, very soon as well. Like, they've hit a nice upturn in form at the moment. So I'm happy. I'm cheering for Zoph hitting the 10K, and you as well.
Might be tighter than the battle for the title, I think. Not fourth, I think just European spot. Fourth, I'd probably be Villa anyway. Talk about fifth and sixth. Because Chelsea in the conversation, we're only 3 points off you guys now.
Nah, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
This is a season where it's pretty much out in the news that it's Ten Hag's last season. He's not really going to, and you start seeing signs where the kind of Garnacho's not going to sit and like tweets criticizing Ten Hag if talks weren't underway or there weren't murmurs or anything of that sort. Like, such things give it away. Like, we have a new manager coming in next season.
Anything captaincy? Let's go discuss
Captaincy.
That. Who are the candidates?
I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm just going to say that there is potential opportunity to swerve the chalk here because I don't think Fulham and Everton away are easy fixtures. And if Salah plays 60, 70 plus minutes, I won't be surprised personally to see like 120 to, not 120, maybe 140, 150 minutes for Mo Salah. So if you're somebody that's chasing, there's definitely opportunity swerve here. And I think there could be an opportunity to captain somebody like a Saka, Havertz, Eze, who's currently my captain. Like, I think it's not straight on, nailed on Mo Salah that we've known of.
It's the most
years.
open. I can remember ahead of a double.
That's the point I want to say first.
What do you think, Pras?
I mean, for me, if Salah plays less than 90 minutes, then it's Salah. And maybe that's the boring answer, but I have to go with pedigree and, I have to go with if he's looking in a slump, then the slump can change anytime. Same, basically the inverse of what happened with Muniz, right? The guy was looking like prime Ronaldo, and now suddenly he can't do anything. So maybe the reverse happens and Salah scores a couple of goals. So it can happen in any game. So the only reason I would swerve Salah is basically if I have lower minutes expectation than I have at the moment. And at the moment, my minutes expectations are 75 minutes in both the games. So 150 minutes. If he plays 90 minutes, maybe that changes. And then in that case, I like Eze, I like Saka. Both would be options.
I think Saka, again, at the minutes is going to be a concern because I don't see a situation where he doesn't play 90 against Bayern Munich. That's what concerns me a little bit more over there. I think with Salah, again, the similar thing. If he plays 90 minutes against Atlanta, I'll start being a little bit worried because the schedule is brutal. And no matter what your name is, with the Klopp, when he looks at the red zone, he is definitely going to look at benching that place. In which case, I think it's Eze, Salah or Eze, I think is where I'm at.
Cool. Let's move into our free hit drafts.
Yes.
Shall we do my bust team first in
Yes,
case I
let's
need
get
to
yours
go
first.
before you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Plus, I'll just read out your team. You've got Neto, Gabriel, Richard, Saliba, Son, Eze, Salah, Saka, Darwin, Solanke, Haaland with Zabani, Palmer, and Vico Lewis on the bench. And you're muted, Plus, for a second. Might want to.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we are fine.
Okay, sorry. So look, I mean, I don't want to play Richard, so he's just there as a placeholder. But if he's fit, it just gives me another option, maybe to do Haaland and Son, to do Mateta to somebody. But in short, I have 2 free transfers. I'm gonna get my third Liverpool, and I'm gonna get my second or third Palace guy. So Son to Olise or Diaz or Jota is one transfer, and Richards to Trent or Munoz is the other option. So
Nice.
that's where I am, and that'll give me 10 doublers plus Haaland. I
Good
think the
position
only
to be in.
weakness here is the keeper. So I don't like Neto's fixtures. I've got a good first sub in Zabarni. If Haaland misses out for whatever reason, I don't see anybody else missing out. So that's where we are.
Pretty sorted. And we should mention for the viewers that Pras is going to Wildcard the next week. So it's much easier for him to sell these guys because he knows he's going to get them back the week after.
Correct. There's a value loss on Son. By the way, I'm also tempted by Diaz, the other Diaz, the Sheffield United one. So if I go for Trent, let's say Trent looks like the pick, then in midfield, I've basically got, it has to be a non-Liverpool pick. So it's then between Olise and the other Diaz. So if I don't see Olise's minutes, then I could land up on the other Diaz too. So there are some options that I'm thinking about.
Spoken like a true Man United fan who's been watching our games very closely.
Exactly. And the Burnley game as well.
Yeah.
So that's where I am.
Cool. Plus, if you have work to head off to, feel free to disconnect.
You guys will take. I'll stick around for 5 minutes and then I'll go. I don't want to ruin the aesthetics of the windows.
The windows go all
Yeah.
flying. Go ahead,
Alright,
Ella.
cool.
This is your draft.
That's my team at the moment. My first draft, I've got Alisson Becker as my keeper. I've got double Arsenal defense in White and Gabriel. After this conversation, White is likely going to be Saliba. I've got Munoz, who seems fairly locked in my free hit team. Salah, Eze, Diaz, Havertz, and Brereton. I think Salah, Eze, Havertz, and Brereton are fairly locked in my free hit team as of today. I've got Mateta and Solanke as my forwards. Mateta seems fairly locked in my team. And I think I'm likely going to go ahead with the Eze captaincy as well. I feel like it's a good opportunity to swerve on chalk. I expect Eze's ownership to be fairly high anyway, but I think it's a good opportunity. He fits the bill of being on set pieces and having penalties as well. And Palace are generally sexy when they've got all 3 of their attackers fit at the moment. What I'm debating still is my Liverpool attacker. Robbo is somebody who's been playing on my mind a lot more. So if I see like Liverpool losing 1-0 or 2-0 to Atlanta in the first half and Robbo getting subbed off where Klopp is saving them for the league, then I might get Robbo and then go Saka as my attacker instead of Luis Diaz. So that's something I'm playing with at the moment. And Solanke versus Cunha is something I'm still debating.
So Olise not on your mind and Trent not
Olise
on your
no.
mind.
I think Mateta, Eze, and Munoz as a 3 are locked. Trent, I genuinely don't see him starting 2 games, so he's not on my mind either.
Interesting. Because I think I would switch in on the Arsenal defender and the goalkeeper spot. Maybe put Raya in there and maybe even put a Robbo. Get a bit of upside instead of your Saliba there. Something similar potential.
So I just don't see Raya as a pick personally because he
Those are
doesn't get
saves.
save points. Arsenal control the game so much that it's Edison, right? It's basically
And
2
yeah,
or
that's
6.
a fair point. Alisson is very good for bonus as well.
Yeah. That's the reason why Alisson is in there.
Your thoughts, Pras?
No, I like it. I mean, here's the thing, and this is a caveat which people will understand, but needs to be said anyway. These drafts are so intricate where you move one player and 5 will change because then you want another attacker, then you move this guy. And so, look, I think the basic pieces are there. I think most teams will have 9 players from Liverpool, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Palace. It comes down to who is your 10th and 11th. I would say the 10th needs to be Solanke, but people will go Cunha or something else. And then the 11th is the key one. It could be Pickford in goal. It could be Diaz that you have in midfield. It could be 8 Nouri. So I think that's where we're playing around. And so this fits all the things, and all the things are consistent with what you mentioned.
The big one is no Saka.
That's the big one, which he mentioned. So I would pick Saka over Havertz personally, but I do understand why he's gone Havertz.
That's probably the only thing like you won't see in most cases. Otherwise, I would say, besides White,
and if I go Liverpool double defense, then Saka comes
in place of Diaz.
Yeah.
Brereton is you're pretty set on.
Yeah, I like that. It's just a vibe spun that I don't want to miss out on because I've been feeling him. It's
I like obviously the
ever
home
since
fixture
I've
to Burnley, but again, away to Manchester United, do you guys think Sheffield United will score?
He'll get 5 shots.
yeah.
Whether he
And
scores or
he's
not
a
is another question.
At Old
I
Trafford, I
think he's
don't know. I
also
think you guys
little
are still a bit better at home.
he's a little underrated as a player. Like every time I've seen him play for Sheffield United, I just like how direct and good he is. And Sheffield United little bit are playing unhinged,
Yeah,
free-spirited football
definitely.
at the
Even
moment.
against Brentford, they were a bit unlucky, I think, not to score.
Exactly. So that's where I'm. Just a fun punt that you want to have on free hit. I'm sitting at 750k, so I genuinely have nothing to lose. Like sitting at 750k, see, I can't go crazy and take on all of the players that I have to, right? But one
You
or
got
two
to pick and
swirls here,
choose.
there.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose
Yeah.
your battles, and I think
Yeah.
Saka is a reasonable one, depending on how the Bayern game goes.
Still, Darwin isn't ruled out. Like if Darwin gets 30 minutes in Atlanta, there's a way he could find his way into my free hit team.
That's a good shout. Yeah, and I think Friday we'll revisit all those picks a bit more. This is mine. I've got Pickford in goal, Munoz, Trent, and Gabriel. Havertz, Eze, Saka, Salah, Jota, Mateta, and Solanke with the Wolves guys and Tarkowski on the bench.
Yeah.
A bit more template than yours. I think the risks over here are probably just your Trent and Jota. Otherwise, the other guys are pretty much fairly template.
Yeah. I love the Jota pick. For your sake, I hope that he plays under 30 minutes against Atlanta. And if so, I might join you.
Yeah,
I might join you too.
It'll be fun, right? Let's have a look at that. And then the small changes I still might make around, I think, with maybe the goalkeeper, etc. But feels fairly settled.
All right.
I think it's again the Trent and Jota pick, which you will know on Thursday. So you guys can talk about it on Friday. But this is fairly, as a goalkeeper, looks fine. You've got a good balance between, Palace, you have all three: mid, forward, defender, double attacks. So yeah, like it.
Yes. So generally what I found when drafting, even with my wildcard, you remember which I did share, I had made no changes from it to the end. Generally, I found that the first team I make before the tinkering is usually the most sensible. So I'm going to try to stick as much as I can. I need a good reason to deviate from it now.
Fair shot. Sticking while tinkering is generally a good thing to do.
True that.
On that note, we will see you guys later this week. It was nice to catch up with the both of you. I think after a couple of weeks, I think all three of us have been on here together, and I think it's going to be the case next week. So, see you. Any last words, boys?
No, good to catch up. Big week.
Up.
So good luck to everyone.
Good luck to all the English teams as well in the Champions League. We do want the English teams always do well for the coefficient and stuff like that.
Spurs supporting Arsenal. I know Baker and Adam will hate me saying that, but if Arsenal win, they shouldn't mind because the coefficient will improve.
Yep. Cool. Great seeing you guys. We'll be back again on Friday, maybe even before that. Till then, take care. Enjoy the tinkering, and we will see you soon.
See you all.